Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Historical Humans Heritage. Today we are venturing to South America in Suriname, where we are going to be talking about Jodensavanne archaeological site, Jodensavanne settlement, and Casaporta Creek Cemetery, which is an example of early Jewish colonization attempts in the New World. A true unicorn of its kind.
Oh, I don't think we should call it a unicorn. That means something else. We're in Pride Month.
Hey, we're always looking
Uh,
for a unicorn here.
yep. Anyway, this is, I think, the first time we've taken this series to Suriname. Very excited for that. This site dates all the way back to the 1680s and 1650s. It's two different settlements that get bundled into one here on the UNESCO World Heritage. And this was this is one of the newer sites as well. This one was inscribed in 2023, so this is something that just received international recognition as a unique and extremely valuable piece of human history. So this is something that's very exciting to talk about.
It's very cool. Although
Yeah.
it looks like a lot of their ruins are being reclaimed by the jungle.
Yep. Suriname is a jungle, and they're on a river in a jungle. So there's people aren't actively living on the site, so nature is encroaching. Um, and this site was kind of an odd duck in the history of European colonialism. It is home to what is believed to possibly be the earliest synagogue in the Americas, in the Western Hemisphere here. And the site itself is a collection of buildings, cemeteries, boat landings, military posts that were built adjacent to, and I believe in some places on top of, the ruins of an older settlement from the 1650s that got abandoned very quickly.
Well, the cemetery is, but the settlement was moved a few miles downriver, but very close by. And it's interesting that you see two different habitation periods, and it's really interesting because these colonies were not situated in any existing urban settings. Instead, it was entirely inhabited and owned by the people who were there, as well as their free and enslaved persons of African and indigenous descent.
Yep. Yeah, this is an example of what was known as the Sephardic diaspora, which is something that's not really talked about a lot. But basically, when the Spanish Inquisition happened, a lot of Jewish people chose to get out of the Spanish mainland proper in the hopes that this new world would have enough room for them to be able to exist. Fun fact, no, but points for trying. And
Well,
this settlement here is an example of one of those cities.
the part I don't personally understand is a majority of South America by this point was colonized by the Spanish.
Yep. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're going to another place that speaks their language and are setting up a town that is populated almost entirely by them, away from all the towns populated by these hyper zealous Catholics. And they're hoping to just create space without having to like totally cut themselves off from the rest of planet Earth.
Which is also kind of interesting because the official language of Suriname is Dutch now.
Yeah. Suriname has its own unique history, being one of those lovely little countries situated right on like the sort of crest of South America, just north of Brazil.
Yeah, it's basically all the eastern ones speak Spanish, and then there's Suriname and Guyana. Suriname speaks Dutch, Guyana speaks French, and then you got Brazil, which speaks Portuguese.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's in the odd duck section of the New World. So it's a perfectly fitting place for this to be, and it's a very unique place, especially one that is as decently preserved as as a Jodensavanne is. Um, this had a unique blending of privileges, immunities, of rights. This was a unique place in the world when it existed. As you have a society run by what is traditionally a persecuted class.
And they operated like a state within a state there. And one of the interesting things that I personally really like about the Casapora Creek Cemetery is the fact that the inscriptions, we were just talking about languages, the inscriptions on the tombstones are in Hebrew, Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, Aramaic, and combinations of all of them, which shows that a lot of the people who went there came from a wide swath of areas.
Yep. Yep. This was a slave society. This has a lot of dark history to it, both in how they got here and what they did. But like as time goes on, you see that these settlements kind of just become magnets for people who are looking to escape from issues elsewhere, whether that is the the Jews and this diaspora here fleeing from the Spanish Inquisition, whether it's the Dutch minority that is living in the area at this time, whether it's African, indigenous. It's kind of becomes a catching point for all these people to kind of settle down
It also
and
was
stop
in a
there.
border zone, so they were one of the first lines of defenses against the indigenous populations when they would come and attack.
Yeah.
But
I'll
even with
take I'll take reason number one why the Spanish Inquisition allowed them to live there. Because they're the ones who get hit first.
but it is very cool because in terms of integrity, the cemetery is in nearly perfect condition compared to the rest of the site where the buildings have seen better days, and you see where a lot of the tombs still exist. The brickwork is still there. The headstones may be cracked or might be, have seen better days, but they're still overall in pretty good condition for being 400 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the fun things about this site is its road to protections. There's been something called the Jodensavanne Foundation since 1971, which is the official recognized management authority of the property. This is run partially by what has been the traditional stewards of the lands, which are the indigenous tribes, which actually took care of it for for the time before all this formalization took place. The Suriname government started protecting it formally in 2009. And 2023, as we mentioned earlier, is when UNESCO recognized its value.
There also was a Monuments Act of 2002. And of course, one of my favorite things to talk about with these is they have a management plan in place that gives proper guidance for management, protection, conservation, and the promotion of the archaeological site. But one of the coolest things in my mind that they're trying to do is a lot of the operation of the property currently relies on income from entrance fees and private donations, but they're also trying to get a subsidy from the Ministry of Education, Science, and Culture to help cover those additional costs and to basically close the gap.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're working together actively to try and preserve this site, to try and keep it continuously improving, is really a great sign. And in places like Suriname, these kinds of protections and these kinds of listings, especially on UNESCO, are a really big driver for tourism. It's a really great thing, especially in a lot of nations that may be economically challenged or might have development issues.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's this is, I believe, one of only three UNESCO sites in the entire country of Suriname. So uh you can probably bet they're very invested in maintaining that status and preserving this history, because this isn't a country that gets traditionally recognized by the world at large for being historically significant.
Yeah.
There is no great Suriname empire that everyone talks about.
But I
That's
think
not a suggestion, Suriname. Keep being you.
But I think that's actually probably a great point for us to wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what your thoughts are down below, and we will see you in the next video.